What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And today I just wanted to make a video on the legendary hunt, or rather the legendaries that you can get from the hunt quest, which is Noah, the vendor in Trenchtown. And it's for a very long time it's been known that there's a pool of legendaries which you can get from this particular vendor when you hand in all 10 legendary hunts, which you can of course repeat. But there's a little bit of, I guess you could say, anecdotal or misinformation out there that you can basically get all of the legendaries that are available to all characters from this vendor, whereas in actual fact, with some of the testing that I've done, or I would say with all of the testing that I've done, the reality is more a case of that Noah has a pool of legendaries that he can drop. More specifically, when it comes to class specific legendaries, so the sets, there's a pool. There's usually 3 out of the 5 items that he can drop and 2 that he can't. I suppose this is a restriction from People Can Fly side to essentially make it that you can't get the entire set from this vendor, but that you could, for instance, fill in some gaps if you're looking for one specific piece and it happens to be one of the 3 that he can drop. But let's just quickly discuss. So first of all, generally you have 2 ways of doing this. So I mean, you can essentially complete all the hunts and hand them in, and then reset and complete all the hunts and hand them in and reset. You can keep doing it like that. Or there's also a way which I'm going to show you the way how it's done on computer, but this works of course on consoles as well, although I haven't tested it, but it's been described by other players as working just fine as well. And that's of course just, you're coming to Noah in Trenchtown. Now you've got all 10 of your hunts completed, so you just access the vendor as you usually would do when you turn in these items. You speak to him, you choose the option where you say, I got a trophy for you, and you start handing these hunts in. Now what's very important is once you've handed in all 10 hunts, don't back out of the conversation completely, but simply go to the original part of the conversation and then choose what are you selling, and then go to sell. Now at this point you'll see the legendary item that he gave you, but the game won't necessarily save that already. So if that's not the legendary that you want, you can simply on PC press Alt F4, and then the next time you go into Outriders, you are able to hand in all 10 again and essentially get another chance at a different legendary. Now again, like I said, with console this works the same. So just in this step, instead of obviously pressing Alt F4, you can just basically close the game. Now the way how I went about testing it is I used my pyromancer specifically, and because of course the thing is that you can't get other classes, at least like you're not supposed to, but you can't get other classes set legendaries to drop on a different class. So specifically for the testing that I did with this, I used the Akari, not the Akari, sorry, the pyromancer class. Of course I'm looking for Akari pieces, so maybe that's why I got the word confused there. But what I did originally is I started out and I said I'd want to just create a sample size of 100. So I just wanted to do this 100 times. And what you're seeing on the screen here right now is my first 100 attempts and all of the loot that came from that. Now, at the same time, we have this table below here where I'm just essentially showing that on the first column here, we have the cannonball set, which can drop completely from this vendor. So you can get all 5 pieces of the cannonball set from this vendor. And especially looking at some of the information we have here, you can see that that tends to also drop with a lot more frequency than other pieces. Then when each class of course has 4 legendary sets, and these are the pieces in green are the ones which actually drop from Noah, and the pieces in red are the ones which you cannot obtain from Noah. Now I haven't prepared a similar table for the other 3 classes, but I'm working on that. But the same thing is true for them because I have actually tested it with them. So again, the point is that you can only get 3 pieces of a 5-piece set, and it's always the same 3 for that set. So I can get the lower robe, the charms, and the boots of the lava lich. Another pyromancer won't get a different set of that. They'll also only be able to get the lower robe, the charms, and the boots. Now I have seen some reports online, and just to say, just to show, because I thought maybe 100 is a too small sample size, so I did another 100, and that's the other stack that you see on here now, to just sort of bolster the number. So I essentially did it 200 times and recorded all of the drops, and you can see some stats of the drops here basically now. But the point is, that in doing this, you can see that there's certain pieces from the legendary sets for each class that don't drop. But what is really cool is the 10 non-class specific legendary armor pieces, which are on the screen here right now. They all actually are able to be, gotten from Noah. So if you're looking for something like Sergio's beret or a Tanner's hat or Anomaly Visage or Old Reliable or any of those, they are in the loot pool, and they definitely drop. They don't drop as often as cannonball pieces, for sure, but nonetheless, they are in that pool. So if you are looking for one of those pieces, then you can definitely use this method to try and get one of them. Now, one last thing also worth mentioning is that you do see some kind of like, I would say, as I mentioned, scaling with the drops, in terms of that it does seem to favor cannonball pieces. And the reason why I mention this is very interesting, considering what we've recently been told by People Can Fly as a studio, as well as some community managers on Reddit, that their looting mechanism and the way in which legendaries drop in the game is not very straightforward, and isn't such a simple thing as just turning a knob here or turning something there and suddenly having things drop. But however, this system does show that they do have ways of creating pools of loot and ways of, increasing the drops of a certain kind of loot and decreasing the drops of another. What's very interesting to me, and I haven't done this research specifically on the other classes, but I have done a lot of research on Pyro, and specifically here, if we look at the Akari pieces, you'll notice that the two that don't drop from Noah is the chest piece, the armor, and the boots, which are arguably the two main niche pieces that you need. Yes, it works if you have the other three, but you need those two pieces for the mods on them to really make Akari shine. So Akari works without it, but this shit really makes it work, which is of course Master Consumer, for instance, on boots, right? So it does seem that there might have been an effort from their side, and this part is now pure tinfoil speculation from my side, but there might be a concerted effort from their side to, even though they are making you able to get these sets from, for instance, someone like Noah, that they restrict the really good pieces. And this feeds into the whole feeling that people have that, weapons like Death Shield, for instance, drop extremely seldomly compared to, like an Airy Master or something like that. So there definitely seems to be some pooling, and there definitely seems to be some weighting according to, the really good items versus the more like sort of generic ones, which you wouldn't really see in that many builds. Again, if you just look at Torturer's Mask, for instance, on the Torturer set, which is really the only Torturer's piece that you really want, is also one of the ones that isn't dropped by Noah. So interesting. So as I said, in the coming days, I will release a video where I'll just compile the other three classes sets information together as well, just so that we have it all together on the channel, and if anybody looking for that information, they can find it. But that's basically it. Again, like I said, I did create a sample size of 200 here, which is a lot, but it's not as much as I've seen other, reports, other, how can I say, posts on Reddit, where some guys have gone over 500 looking for a specific item. But the point is that even if this pooling that I've illustrated here ends up being wrong, and you can, for instance, for argument's sake, right, get a Torturer's Mask to drop, the point is that the percentage of that is so low that, I mean, you might as well not try for it. You have, in my opinion, probably better luck just doing expeditions and not doing it this way, because yes, you could go at least 200 like I did here without actually seeing one of these pieces, which I've now indicated as not being able to drop. And the only reason I'm including that as a final statement on this is of course that I haven't data mined any of this information, and this is purely me sitting in the game, essentially doing this exploit, I suppose, with the Alt F4, and then, like recording my findings. So I can look at this information that I have here and say I 100%, stand behind it and I agree with that. But that still doesn't mean that I 100% understand what's going on in the coding. I can just derive from this information that I have here. But in any case, that's it for the video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that this helps out, and I hope that this puts to rest some of the myths out there in terms of what you can get from Noah and from the legendary hunts and what you can't. I do, however, think it's a great way to go hunting for those non-class specific items if you're still looking for some of them, or if you, for instance, want to complete out all of your sets and you're missing one or two pieces that could potentially be coming from here. It's definitely an alternative avenue than, you know, expedition farming or, you know, any of the other methods that are out there for creating legendaries. That's it for today. I just want to remind everybody that we do have a Discord. It is in the description down below. We have well over 100 members by now. These are people that play Outriders, but also many other games. The idea of the Discord is a community that gets together and, you know, plays together. And if people need help or so on, then there's usually someone around to help out. So please feel free to join the community. As I said, it's not just an Outriders community, it's a gaming community. So you're bound to find other like-minded people playing things like Destiny 2 or Division 2, and it doesn't have to be, you know, those kinds of games. So come check it out. We'd love to have you. I just want to thank again everybody for the support to the channel. It's been lovely. Thank you so much, and especially thank you for supporting this video with a comment and a like if you can. Also remember to subscribe to the channel if you like information and things like this, because this is what I make for the channel. Again, not just for Outriders. Outriders just seems to be the flavor of the month right now, but always keep a lookout for another potential new game that we might be covering. Other than that, I just need you to have a really, really great morning, a fantastic afternoon, and the best evening. And until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me.